Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and you can find more information about the projects that I create on my blog at www.stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. And I will put a little banner up here so that you guys can see the banner. Okay, so um, I am I'm going to just explain a couple of things that are going on. So right now you guys can see two screens. And the reason that I'm showing both screens instead of just myself is because I want you to see the card projects that we are going to be working on in tonight's live. Now, I thought it was a good idea to change my setup for anybody who follows me regularly. Um, I have not been happy with the table and the situation, and I keep moving my location of where I'm filming because I have one table that shakes. I have like just a hot mess. Okay. So I decided about 20 minutes before the live to change my table. And I am so sorry that I did that. Hopefully, this is going to be a good test. But what had happened was, while I was in the middle of setting up this table with everything that we needed tonight, I literally knocked everything over. So I had to get everything back up on the table. And now we are going to do this live. So, first, I mean, I feel like I spend so many of my lives apologizing to you, but I just want to thank you for your patience while I figure all of this out. My son, who is 7, he is still on spring break. He goes back to school tomorrow. So I can't do my afternoon lives. I typically do lives on Tuesday at noon. I can't do those when he's home. And in my mind, I thought that he went back today, but he does not. So that's why we are live in the evening instead of in the daytime. Okay, so anyway, we're just going to start fresh. So there's a few things that I want to go over with all of you. But the first thing that I will say, if you're still here, is let me know where you're watching from. Be sure to say hi, whether you're watching live or in the replay. I have had requests lately to start going live on YouTube. And that is something that I am working on, but that I'm not able to do yet. So, what I have decided to do in the meantime is post the full replay. So instead of editing the replay down for YouTube, I'm literally going to post the full replay to YouTube for the time being until I can stream live in both places. So just give me some time on that. If I can figure out how to make all of these things happen, I will absolutely do that. If you ever have requests for me, let me know. I've had some people reach out to me and say, I'm not on, Facebook, I'm on YouTube, or I miss you on, Facebook, but I catch you on YouTube. And the majority of people, I had taken a poll on this once because anytime Connor is off, my son, I have to change my times. And typically people say, well, it doesn't matter because I almost always watch the replay. So I always find all of that information helpful from all of you. So just know that I'm really hearing you when you say things like that. And I am working on it. So, okay, I'm going to switch the screen now to me for just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about a few things, and then we'll go ahead and get into making tonight's cards. So, we are going to be playing with the brand new In Color collection, and I'll be going through some, papers and things like that, and then we'll jump into the card making. I cut these kits in advance, so technically, this would be considered a class, but this is what we call pre-order product right now. So let me say that to you while we're still looking in both places. Pre-order means this is something that demonstrators can order right now as we prepare for our new catalog. It's going to be our new annual catalog 2023 to 2024. It will launch to customers on May 2nd, 2023, which means starting May 2nd, 2023, customers will be able to purchase the new in colors. Customers will be able to purchase this new suite or bundle. I think it's called Fresh as a Daisy. Cheerful Daisies is the actual stamp set name. And I know it is, we're kind of getting to mid-month here in April, but I really do want to feature these new products. Okay, so that is something that I just want to say right out of the gate as you guys are coming on to watch and spend some time with me live, that this is pre-order product and it will be available to purchase to customers starting May 2nd, 2023. And you'll probably hear me say that a few times throughout the live for anybody who may ask, where do I get this product? Now, there is a way that you can get pre-order product now. And that is when you join Stampin' Up. So if you are interested in purchasing the starter kit, you can actually put pre-order items in your starter kit, which means you would not have to wait. You could go ahead and get, whatever pre-order items are available, you would be able to put into your starter kit. And the way that the starter kit works is you choose $125 worth of product and you only pay $99. That's before tax. And you actually get free shipping on the starter kit. So just a few things to keep in mind. And if you have any questions about that, you can let me know. I'll be repeating that a couple of times throughout the month too, as I am featuring these new products that are coming, but you will be able to purchase them as a customer if you want to wait until May 2nd. Okay, so let me go ahead and change this just for a minute now. Hi, Penny, how are you? So I'm starting to see comments come in, which is great. All right, so let me switch here for just a minute. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on my face, but I just wanted to say everything that I just said, but I also wanted to talk to you about a few other things going on. So for those of you who subscribe to Paper Pumpkin with me, thank you. We just closed out April, which means the April kit is no longer available to order. And, basically the kits are going to be shipping. And today started the promotional material for the May 2023 Paper Pumpkin kit. And this is one of my favorite kits to promote. And it's one of my favorite kits to get because typically the May kit features our new in colors. So there is a dual reason why I chose to work with the new in colors today. So let me just show you the graphic. I printed it out and I can show you guys again once we go down to the table here. But for any of you who follow me on a regular basis, I love creating with nature sets, bundles, stamp sets, kits, you name it. So this theme, which you're kind of seeing here, and let me see, when I printed this, it looks a little bit clear, but you can see there's art on the box. So it's like a special edition box. And right now it's in black and white. I hope the light, I'm probably going to have to show you this on a table. So let me go down to the table and let's see if this is any better. Okay, so here, hopefully you guys can see that. I'm just going to set this right down over top here for a minute. I'll move these cards out of the way for just a second. Okay, so bear with me. All right. So here is the advertising for the May kit. This is much better, right? This is a much better way to look at it. So the kit right now is shown in black and white because it's a teaser. It's going to be featuring the new in colors. Now, you would need to subscribe by May 10th, 2023 if you want to get the May Paper Pumpkin kit. So this is create outdoorsy cards. You can tell just by the teaser that this is going to be, if you like nature sets, I think that you're really going to love this. If you get very excited about catalog launches and new in colors, if those new in colors are on your shopping list, I promise you, we are going to be using those for the alternates for the May Paper Pumpkin kit. So if you are interested in subscribing to Paper Pumpkin, and let me take down my banner, but before I do, you can go to stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. If you want to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, you will see this graphic. You can click on that right on my blog, and it will take you to the pay as you go monthly subscription option. Okay, let me hide that. Okay. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that there are prepaid Paper Pumpkin options. So if you guys have any questions about that, you can purchase a prepaid code for either 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, depending on how often you get Paper Pumpkin. If you know want to get 12 kits, you want to get every month, all of that lovely stuff, consider the prepaid options. And I can get into more detail about that later, but since I'm already running late with my live, we can go ahead and start focusing on what we're going to be working on tonight. So while I'm talking about featuring the new in colors, let me just put up a couple of graphics for you. Okay, so I had a chance to order the in colors as a demonstrator so that I could start preparing. And these are the 5 in colors that have been stamped out. So these are the 2023-2025 in colors that are going to be featured in the May Paper Pumpkin kit, which is Boho Blue, Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Moody Mauve, and Pebbled Path. So I'll show those to you. And then I also have them here if you need to see the words just a little bit easier. Let me see if I can slide this up. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so even though we have a black and white graphic here, for those of you who want a better idea of what that means and what that's going to look like, and sort of imagining what that color combo is going to be like with this theme, like I like to do, then this is something to keep in mind, because these colors are going to be featured in this kit. And you guys know how much I love Paper Pumpkin, but there are a few kits in particular that I really, really love to focus on every year, and May is one of them. So I cannot tell you how excited I was to see that it's a nature theme. Okay, and if you guys have any questions about Paper Pumpkin, please let me know. So these are the in colors that we are also going to be working with tonight. Okay, so before I dive into all of this, let me just say a few things about outgoing catalogs. So this is the current catalog. This is the May 2022 to April 2023 catalog. This is one of the catalogs that is retiring at the end of this month. And they have what is called a last chance sale happening now. If you are interested in getting items that are retiring from this catalog, I highly encourage you to check it out. Okay, so that's one of the ones that is outgoing. Here is another catalog that is outgoing. All right, so this is the mini catalog. This one is also retiring and is also part of the last chance sale. This catalog also retires at the end of this month. And just yesterday, I got my new catalog. Okay, now this is the catalog that is going to be starting on May 2nd. I did receive my shipment of catalogs yesterday as well, which means I am going to be preparing them to go out to my customers. So I'm going to say, again, I'll just kind of keep reminding as I'm getting prepared here that if you do not need a catalog, please let me know. If you've placed a purchase with me in the last 6 months, you will automatically get one unless you let me know that you don't want one. And if you need a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you don't already work with a demonstrator and would like to request a catalog, please let me know and I can get you a catalog, okay? Now, I can't open this catalog because we can't open and show the inside of it until May 2nd, but I can show you the things that I purchased as part of my pre-order, and that's what we're going to be working with tonight. Okay, so I know that's a lot. It's a lot for me too, honestly, but I feel like it's the best way to clarify what's leaving, what's coming, and what we're working with tonight. But of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. So let me just kind of point out a few things for you. Now, I am going to be using a stamp set from the new catalog that's going to be launching on May 2nd. It's called Cheerful Daisies. I absolutely love this. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to work with this one first, and I just had to. Once I started working with the dies, these are the coordinating dies that go with it. And I have a chart to kind of better show you, but we'll be working with it regardless, you know, with our cards tonight anyway. But you can see there are quite a few dies here. This is a pretty fabulous set. And that was what the bundle option looks like. Now, here is that chart. Okay, so for those of you who kind of like to see what the dies look like cut out, I had actually seen somebody like nest the dies together and cut it, and it cut like a little flower outline. I hadn't even thought of that. But these are the way that I cut them out for the Cheerful Daisy dies. All right, and then this is what they look like when you start putting them together. All right, and I did show this when I did my unboxing video last week. So I wanted to show these one more time. Okay, so this is kind of like that classic daisy look that you think of. And now here is what it looks like translated to the in colors. So let me set this over here so that it's not like in the corner of the camera. I have to get used to my new setup here. Okay, so on this card, for example, I am also using the Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper that's going to be in the new catalog. We're going to see hints of the cardstock of the new in color. So here, for example, we have Pebbled Path, and this is part of that Designer Series paper pack, which I'll go through in just a minute. So just to give you an idea, Pebbled Path, this is what it looks like when it's printed, and this is what it looks like in real life. So it's pretty close, but you still do see a little bit of a difference there. I feel like it's softer here. So I feel like this is a great alternative to black now that I've had a little bit of a chance to work with it. And then we also have a pop of wild wheat in here as well. And then on this one, this is kind of a good way to introduce yourself to copper clay. Okay, so this is copper clay here, and here we kind of see it in the actual real-time artwork, the stamps, the Designer Series paper. Now, the warm hello greeting is not from the daisies. It's called, I think it's called Circle Sayings. I would have to grab it from the other table, but that was the only thing that wasn't part of this particular bundle. All of the daisy stuff, the Designer Series paper, is part of the daisies. All right, and then there's a little bit of boho blue on that one as well. Okay, and now this is a good look at Moody Mauve. So for those of you who, like me, were looking forward to this color, I know I had some comments on this before. You can see copper clay is an accent color here in the Designer Series paper, but we have a lot of Moody Mauve going on, and then we also have wild wheat. So here is a look at that one, and we're going to recreate these together. All right, and then here is, I would say, probably the most classic look for the daisies. This is a combination of boho blue, pebbled path, and I would say a little bit of the wild wheat, not a ton. And then here, this is a good display of wild wheat. And then the pepper, would you please listen to me? Copper clay, the wild wheat. You can see some more copper clay over here. And I think this is Pretty Peacock, like little pops of the Pretty Peacock in there as well. So for this, I use different Stampin' Blends for now, but this, I think, is a good way to sort of introduce the in colors. I really wanted to kind of take them for a spin, and this Designer Series paper featured a lot of the in colors. So I thought, let me work with this first. And if you're getting a catalog from me, you might actually see one of these cards or something similar to it. So let me go ahead and show you the Designer Series paper. If you happened to not see my unboxing, then I'm just going to do a quick show of the paper here, just so that you can get a sense of what I was using. Okay, but you can see we have one side that is patterned, and then the other, which is really more of those solid colors, or, you know, a combination of colors, but mostly solid colors here. So this is, I think I have, yes, I do. Let me give you the name of it. So this is Fresh as a Daisy, 12 by 12 designer series paper. Fresh as a Daisy is also the name of the suite. So here is, just to give you an idea, okay, this is the paper from this card, all right? And then this is the paper from this card. All right, and then we'll talk a little bit about those variations in a minute, but let me just page through here. The other side, copper clay. Okay. You can see that combination of pebbled path in the background, which really helped the flowers pop, honestly. I love this pattern when I look at this. And then the other side is more the boho blue. This is, you know, if you're a scrapbooker, a project, you know, keeper, journaling, I think you'll really like this sheet. I actually cut mine up so that I could use Moody Mauve. I'm sorry to say, but I did. And here you can see we have this daisy pattern, and then the other side is pebbled path. So this is where those colors are coming from on these cards. This is the paper that we're going to be working from to make these. Whoops. I almost threw the cards down again. So this table is very high. It's much higher than the other table I had here. And I think that is my malfunction. I am totally misjudging the height of this table. But I'm going to get used to it. And if it works, you know, if we don't have a lot of shaking this video, then I will be happy. So I'm just going to set this aside, but I just wanted to go through that paper really quickly. Okay, and then we've got a look at our dies. So I'm just going to set this aside. We're going to leave this up on the table. And then, of course, we have our in colors. So we're going to be working with our in color ink pads. And then I've already pre-cut the pieces tonight. Okay, and we'll set this over here too. And we'll get started with our card kits. So like I said, I tried to pre-cut and do as much ahead of time as usual. So for those of you who've taken my card classes, this is very similar to what a card class would look like. I am going to be doing an in color club. Hi, Teresa. How are you? She says, love the mauve and wild wheat together. I do too. I'm really liking the combination of the colors. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them together or not, but I do have to say that the designer series paper was a very good helper for me in terms of getting those combinations together. Okay, so let's start here. And we're going to start with this card. I'm going to set the rest of these aside, and I'm going to put this aside too. All right, I don't think I'm going to need the dies, but I want to have them handy just in case. All right, and let's go ahead and we're going to make some cards. So here are the pieces. Now, like I said, I am going to be doing an in color club again this year, which means each month for 5 months, we will feature one color and the coordinating items. So for example, the ink pad, the re-inker, the markers, cardstock, DSP, it'll be things like that in the color that month. And then I will have a couple of card kits to go along with it. If you are interested in that, you can message me, you can leave me a comment, and I will put your name on a list. But the way that it works with Stampin' Up! Is we cannot collect money for an upcoming catalog. Like we cannot collect money for upcoming products until 7 days before the launch of the product. So I will be releasing a sign up for the things that I am offering, an in color club, a core color club, and a paper share. I will be listing those things and dropping those 7 days ahead of time, but I will be mentioning this throughout. So if you do want to message me and you want to get on the list, I will be happy to put your information down and then make sure I get it to you. Make sure you are on my email list because that is going to be the first place where all of that information goes. Okay. So here we're going to start. Now on this particular card, I did basic white for all of my card bases for these particular cards. And this is the 4 1/4 by 11. and then scored at 5.5 for all 5 cards. And then for this particular piece, I actually did a larger piece of designer series paper than I did with the other cards. And that was because I just wanted to vary things up. You'll see why in a minute. The one color that I didn't do a cardstock strip with was Moody Mauve, and I just felt like it didn't match here. So I just decided to do this instead. And this is the scallop contour dies, which is going to be remaining in our annual catalog. Hi, Louise. How are you? She's saying hello from Daytona. Hello. So here you can see we do have this color coordination. And then this is the largest die from the actual die set. And this is the one that we're going to be putting here. We're just going to be adding a little bit of color to it. And then we have our die cut sentiment piece. This is also part of the Daisy Suite. And then, of course, like I said, this Warm Hello is the one thing that is from a different stamp set, also from the new catalog. The reason why I chose Warm Hello is because I know these are going to be going out with my catalogs. So we're going to start, well, you know what? I'm going to stand up and let me grab, I forgot to grab my Stampin' Blends. Hopefully that's the only thing I forgot. So let me grab that really quick. Okay, I will tell you, once I do figure out this setup, and I think we as crafters are kind of always tweaking things and moving things around, but once I really figure this out, it's staying that way forever. All right, so let me go ahead and I'm going to get my glue, and we're just going to put our piece down. Let me get you a measurement on this. So this piece of designer series paper was cut to 2 inches by 5.5. So for those of you who are going to be following along, maybe using a different set because you are going to wait, you could do any of your floral sets that you have maybe that are retiring that you want to make a card set with. And for those of you who are so excited for the new catalog and you don't want to wait, if you do get this in your starter kit, you are going to have so much fun with it. I'm actually going to be using this for a team Zoom for those who are on my team. And we're going to be using this set for our card in there too, because I am just absolutely, absolutely loving the daisies. Okay, so I'm going to get my copper clay. I already have the majority of my stamps mounted. And I'm going to be using this. Okay, so let me put that right there. And hopefully you guys can still, this is the other thing I have to get used to is what you can see. So we're going to stamp our sentiment first, nice and easy. If you want to do all of the sentiments for your cards at the same time, if you have a whole bunch of these cut, that would be great too. All right, and then for this piece here, on this version of the card, everything is poked out. And then here, some of the pieces are left in, and I'm not going to fuss with it too much. If you want to poke out all the pieces, you can. I'm going to leave them. If they come out while they're being stamped, that's fine. But we have these center stamps. So we have this small center stamp for our daisy, and we have this larger center stamp. I'm going to be using both of these with the copper clay. You just bear with me as I get used to saying the names. That's one of the things about using the new products, right? All right, so we're going to start with the larger one. And I'm just going to stamp this right in the center. And then if you do get outside of the lines, I usually just do a second stamp. So like stamped off once, basically. And then I'm going to do the smaller center for this part right here. And then I'm going to do it again on this medium-sized daisy. And then I'm going to do a second little stamp there. A little bit lighter in color, but totally fine. so, so nice to see the new ink pads. And for the ink pad that I didn't mention to you guys yet, it actually has 2 in English now on the bottom. So when you put your ink pad together, there are 2 in English on the new in color pads. I think it's that way on all of the new pads, but the in color ones I know for sure. So I'll just say that first. Now I'm going to use my Bermuda Bay combo pack, my Stampin' Blends combo, to color my leaves. If you have Pretty Peacock or, you know, whatever green you're comfortable using, go for it. Okay. And you know what? I'm still seeing shaking when I am coloring. And if that means this table isn't going to work, then that's what that means. Okay. And then I'm just going to add a little touch of green here. The room that I'm in, I really don't think is going to accommodate like a big crafting table. So I really am going to have to figure out the shaking, and it might be changing what's holding my phone. We'll see. We're going to figure it out. All right. So that's basically it for our daisy. So nothing too complicated for this card. Nice and simple. And you can see the reverse side. It's hard to cover up the reverse pieces. But I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue for this, but we are going to use some dimensionals as well. Okay. And then I am kind of doing this off to the side, center, but off to the side so that we can see some of our pattern here from our designer series paper. And then on the back here, to put this up on dimensionals, I thought it would be easier to use the minis, or you could take your full-size dimensionals and cut them in half, whatever you prefer. Let me just close that really quick. I'm just going to pop a couple of these on. Now, if you leave, you know, all your little pieces in, if you do put a larger one over the center, I think it'll be fine. So let's give that a try. But on this one, for example, I would not put anything in the center. Is that one going to fit? See, that looks a little too big to me even. So I'm going to stick with my minis. Okay. And then for this flower, I'm going to kind of put it on the petal there. All right. And then what I ended up doing, I can actually put another little piece right here, just give a little more reinforcement on our larger flower. I actually just put a couple of little adhesive dots on the leaves, but once I was actually putting this on, I was like, I probably didn't even need that. So it's totally up to you, just depending on how secure you want to make your flower pieces. But I'll just pop one over there. We'll put one on this side. Okay, and then I'll do another one right here. And these little adhesive dots are just left over from my paper pumpkin kits. Okay, and then I'll just make sure that the backing is off everything, and we'll pop this on. Okay. Go. And then I'm going to pop this sentiment up on dimensionals as well. Regular size dimensional is fine for this piece. All right, and here is Warm Hello. Now I do have the in color dots, which I have not used yet. We could use those as an embellishment on these, but for now, I think I'm just going to stick with showing you guys the color from the cardstock and the DSP and the ink. But maybe I will grab those and put a couple on, maybe on the last card or something. All right, so there is card number 1 of 5 with our in colors, and that one is featuring the wild wheat and the copper clay. Okay, and then our next card, this one is a little bit die cut heavy, but it's so pretty. So let me just put these sleeves over here. Okay. This one features copper clay and boho blue. This, I think, is an absolutely gorgeous combination. And I wanted to say that the design of the dies was specific to the pattern on the designer series paper. They did white stems and then white flowers with that center, so that I chose to do the same thing. So that's what we're going to do there. Hi, Tracy. How are you doing? She says, I think you're going to change my mind on this suite. Good. I hope I do change your mind on this suite. I love it. Personally, I am a big fan of this one. But of course, as we dive in, when we, get used to getting into the new catalogs and stuff, we all get inspired by what everybody else is designing, right? So it's wonderful to see what people create with things. All right, so same size card base, right? That's going to be the same for all 5 cards. This is the same piece. So same layout, essentially. It's just we're varying our daisies. Okay, so same sentiment, same layout. We're just varying our daisies. And on the rest of the cards, on the next 4 cards, the size of the designer series paper is going to be 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, so the whole strip of the card front there. And then I added a 1/2 inch by 5 1/2 inch piece of the in color cardstock. So if I felt like there was a color that coordinated, then I did use it. So this is the boho blue cardstock that's going to go with the Daisy Designer Series paper. And then this is also the Fresh as a Daisy Designer Series paper, just the other side. Okay, and it's flipped. And then that is going to be the copper clay side. And then we still have the same sentiment piece. We're going to be using the same sentiment, but what you're going to need for this one are 3 stems for our daisies. This is the middle size daisy. And these are mostly die cut. The only thing we're going to be stamping are the centers. So when you die cut this piece, it actually has this little center in it. So this is like that detail piece. And I just did basic white on white, but we're going to stamp that center and then we're going to pop it back in. And we're going to do that for all 3. So you can find your positioning for your stems. Just kind of find your happy place with that. Glue those down. And then my only thing with the stems was I did not want to go below the stitched line on my scalloped contour piece so that I could put this down. So why don't we start gluing pieces down, and then we'll stamp our centers and we'll put our flowers on. I think that'll probably be the easiest way to do this, right? So let's just start gluing this piece on. Okay. So for any of those of you who are watching, if you are a demonstrator, let me know, did you get your catalog yet? I haven't even had a chance to go through the catalog, like the physical one that was mailed to my house. The only one that I have really gone through is the PDF version. So I am so excited to just sit down with a cup of tea and go through my catalog. I cannot wait until I can do that. That is going to be so wonderful. It's been so busy over Easter, but in the most wonderful way possible. We had a wonderful Easter. I hope you guys all had a lovely Easter too. Okay, so I'm going to put this boho blue piece on. Looks like I cut that just a hair short, but it's okay. I don't think anybody's going to yell at me about it. Okay, and then we're also going to glue this piece down. I decided not to put this piece up on dimensionals, but it's totally up to you if you want to. So I'm going to put that piece down next. I want to show off this paper. So that's why I'm kind of offsetting this a little. Okay, and so I know that I want my center flower to just be a little bit higher than the others. So I'm going to start like upper center here. And just glue these pieces down. Now, again, you guys know I'm going to shout out those adhesive sheets, even though I never show them to you. If I ever remember, to use them, it's going to be a great day. All right, so I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue. Will certainly do too. I'll tell you that. All right, and then I'm just going to kind of go a little bit lower and then off to the side. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And I'll try to vary my heights a little bit. And I'm trying not to squeeze too much glue. I'm trying not to be super messy about it. Okay. And then once I have those pieces down, we are going to just pop out these centers. because we're going to stamp those. If you have the blends in copper clay, which I can't remember, I'm not looking at my pre-order list, but I think that is going to be a color in blends, then of course go ahead and use those. I don't have mine yet. So I'm just going to line this up, and then we're going to glue this piece together. Line the small ones up with the small bumps at the top. I think this is absolutely perfect for adhesive sheets, and I am determined to remember to use them. I promised you guys I was going to put like a Post-it down. I just keep moving everything. I just want to put a couple, just a little couple of dots here. Okay. And then we'll line this up. That looks good. So I'm just going to set that down. I'm going to try not to press too hard. Just give that a second to adhere together. And then we're just going to set those off to the side. All right. Let's see what the comments are saying. So she says, Tracy has had her catalog since early last week, but her pre-order is still in picking. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Tracy. I know that could be frustrating. The launch of a new catalog and last chance all at the same time. The shipping can get a little bit behind. Okay. Yeah, I was really surprised to see my catalog show up the same day as like my complimentary catalog. So if you are a demonstrator, you get a complimentary catalog mailed to you early. But for some reason, with the way that everything was mailed, mine showed up on the same day. So, but I will say I did wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get that catalog order in. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Or maybe I just got lucky. Okay. And then this is going to be our last one. So you're going to need 3 of these. Yeah. Doing a look through the catalog. The first time I looked through a catalog, it's like those, you know, the initial things that stand out to me that remind me of myself or other people, things that I personally look for, you know, themes that I know that I'm going to like, that I want to use. And then the second time I go through it, I'm really looking more at the artwork, you know, the samples and the art and the time and all of the creativity of the people who made the, you know, samples with everything. And then I start going through and finding the things that I didn't see the first 2 times. So it is a process with a catalog, I think. All right, so we have these 3. So we're going to stick to copper clay for this card too. I'm going to take these 3 little pieces here, and we're just going to put these right up on. I just want to make sure that you guys can see me. So the problem with this is I get glue on my hands and then everything sticks to me. Okay, so copper clay one more time. Yeah, it should be a question that I should ask everybody is, how do you guys look at your new catalog, right? Like, what's your favorite place? Do you like to go out on the porch and look at it? Do you look at it at night after everybody's asleep? Do you sit down and make your list immediately when you get your catalog? Do you just kind of browse it? I mean, I think that's a great question. I bet you we all do that differently. Okay. For me, it's tea. I love hot tea. I love coffee too. But I don't know. I just think about looking at my catalog at night after everybody's asleep. And at that point, I'm having tea. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these pieces. I wish I had my take your pick tool here, but it's on my other table and I'm not going to go get it. So I'm just going to pop these right back in. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue right in the center. And then let's pop this in. So there is a notch at the top of this. It's probably really hard to see. It's like a V. And I'm just going to line that up with the V here and then pop that right into place. Okay, so that should fit right in like a puzzle piece. And then we'll do that 2 more times. And that will give it a chance to adhere together. Okay, so we have that one, and then let's do this third one. Now I am going to pop the daisies, the flower part up on a dimensional on the stems. But what I wanted to try to do was use different combinations of the daisies to give you guys ideas on the cards. I know I could have spread this out to like 5 different projects, but I really like to showcase it like as a set if I can help it. Okay, so now you can kind of find your place, like your positioning with your flowers, and we're just going to pop those down. And I'm just going to use one dimensional in the center of each. Okay. There we go. I think that looks great. And then all we need to do now is stamp our warm hello. We had a warm weather day here. It was wonderful. It went up to 74 degrees and we had sunshine. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I could stamp this in boho blue. On this one, I did copper clay, but why don't I do boho blue on this one? And you know what? I'm realizing, oh, hang on one second. So sorry, you guys. Hang on. All right. Sorry about that. I had to go get my Simply Chamois because, of course, I did. Tracy says she opened hers straight away to make sure the stylish shape ties and Simply Elegant twine carried over. You know what? That's a great point. I was in denial for a couple of days about stuff that's leaving. I think I still am about a few things. Framed florets sold out. And yeah, I was really, really, really super sorry to see those ovals go. Not thrilled about that, but hopefully I'll see new ovals in the future. All right, so this is boho blue. Warm hello and boho blue. I just can't help myself when it comes to changing things on a live. And then we'll put these pieces down. Yeah, the funny thing for me is with the new catalog, like knowing that we can't open it, I have to get it off of the table as soon as possible so that I am not tempted to open it. Just got to get it away from me so that I don't open it on camera, because the way my brain is, oh my gosh, that's the last thing I need. It's a policy that demonstrators cannot open the catalog before May 2nd. And it's a good one, but I would forget. So it just leaves the table. Okay, so that is our second card. So this one, again, was really more about individual dies and kind of building our daisy scene, but that same layout. Okay, so then here is our third card. I love the way this one turned out, and mostly because I think I am completely obsessed with this like spray that, you know, grows like on the daisy stems, and I just kind of put them all around the flower. I don't even care. I can't say that I'm ever accurate when it comes to the actual garden part of the flower, but it's so pretty. Okay, so let's do that one next. Now, I did use 2 different colors, not in colors for this particular card. So these are cut in shaded spruce cardstock, so I will mention that. And instead of the wild wheat, this is actually Daffodil Delight. So let me show you the difference of what that looks like. So this is wild wheat, and this is Daffodil Delight, just so that you guys can see the difference there, okay? And let me go ahead and just set this over here for a second. And we'll start the same way. We'll just glue our pieces down to the card first. I think that's the easiest, and then we'll do our building, whatever we need to do there. I loved this paper pattern, and even though it's sideways, I don't really think it matters, but totally up to you too if that matters. You can always cut it in whichever direction you want. Okay. Yeah, I could not wait to play with this set, but it was the holiday and I had all these other things. And I mean, I enjoyed those other things. And I was making food for Easter, which I can't say like I'm the best at making food for Easter. I'm more of a baker than a cook. And I was making the ham, which, you know, there's not that much to it because it was a spiral ham and it was already done. And all I had to basically do was heat it up and put some glaze on it. But I made scalloped potatoes, which also kind of turned out interesting because I don't typically make those. And then I made roasted carrots, which I make all the time. So those were fine. But I bought this pineapple. The pineapples were on sale. And it was like the best pineapple. Oh my gosh. So after the meal is over, Patrick tells me that the pineapple was his favorite part. And I was like, so the part that I didn't cook was your favorite? Which, I mean, I was teasing, but it was so good. It was so nice to just have fresh pineapple on the table. So I happen to like the combination of pineapple and ham. So it worked out really, really nicely. Okay, so this is Pebbled Path, this piece of cardstock right here. Same thing, 1 1/4 and then a 1/2 inch by 5 1/2. And then laying this piece down off to the side. On this card, I have it more center, but since then I've decided to kind of go a little bit more off to the side so that I can really show off this paper pattern so that when you guys are getting these cards, you can get a look and a feel for this paper. Okay, and then this is the daisy that we're just building, just very similar to the last one. So we have these layers here, and then we have our die cut center. So this is 3 die cut pieces for this particular daisy. And then we have the 2 sprigs in the shaded spruce. So this is not the stamped version, but we are going to stamp our warm hello in Pebbled Path. So let me go ahead and do that. And then we'll build our daisy. The other thing that I did with Pebbled Path, and I'll show you here while we're using the ink pad. So this live is going to run over a little bit. I'll try to stay on. I'll try to stay as much on task as I can. Okay, so we'll stamp that. And now when you first stamp that, that looks really dark. It looks black, but it's going to dry down to a softer gray like this. Okay, so just to compare the two. But I still think it's a great alternative to black. Now, do you see how they have like, I think they used early espresso. It looks dark. It looks like a brownish color to me. But I thought I would take a little bit of that Pebbled Path to get that outline. So I just dotted it, just kind of dabbed it into the pad itself. And I'm going to do the same thing here so we can give that a second to dry. So I just kind of took that die and like rocked it. Can you see? It was just kind of added onto the tip there, and it does get on the back too. So give it a second to dry before you handle it. But that was all that I did for that piece. Okay, so now let's get our line up before I put my glue on this. The little one I have down, but the big one always takes me a minute. Is that it? Is that close? There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these pieces. We're gonna just glue right here. For me, it's when I'm doing dies, especially building dies like this, like the builder scenes or building flowers, I always think of them as a puzzle. Okay. So once I feel like that lineup is good, I'm going to set that down just so that I don't smear glue all over the place. If you're using the adhesive sheet, honestly, I don't think I've ever used the adhesive sheet and tried to pull it up after, but with the multi-purpose, it can get a little bit messy. And then let's go ahead and do we're going to put our center on. Let's see if that dried. I think it did. Okay. I'm going to try not to touch it. I think I do have some on my fingertip here. Did I do that upside down or probably did. Hang on. That looks worse. There we go. I think that's right. I hope that's right. All right. And so then we're going to do our little sprigs right behind it. But what I did with those was I literally just kind of taped down the edges, the inner part, with a little bit of tear and tape. So I'm going to do that same thing here. You could, again, do the adhesive sheet if you want the glue all over. I'm just going to let them be a little, like you can see on this card, they're loose, like they're coming up. So just depending on if you want to secure them or not. But I'm going to focus on one being in like the upper corner here. And I'm just going to glue this little piece right down. And then we're going to do the opposite. So I'm just going to glue that piece right down. And then we'll put this piece on dimensionals. And then I'm just going to pop these off. And we will have our largest daisy. Okay. And then we're also going to put our warm hello on dimensional. So that stays the same for all 5 cards. Oops. It would help if I remove the backing, huh? All right, here we go. All right, so we have that card. Okay, so that is card 3. All right, and you can see I just put my sprigs in kind of the opposite sections. But let's see. I'm seeing some comments come in. So let me just go through those. All right, so our next one is going to be a little more stamping. So as opposed to, and just to give you guys an example, so opposed to our built daisy with die cut pieces, this one is stamped. So let's take a look at this one. And this is Moody Mauve. I have to say, this one is my favorite. Definitely my favorite out of all 5 here. Let's see. So Teresa is saying, that's beautiful, Melinda. Oh, thank you. Oh, hi, Margaret. How are you? So Margaret is saying the sunflower looks great on that blue paper. Yeah, that's boho blue, Margaret. That's the new blue from the In Colors. Teresa says, I love ham with pineapple too. Sounds wonderful. It was really good. It was so good. We're still working through our leftovers. I hope you guys all had a good meal too. And she said, I'm surprised. I think I like this blue one the best. I thought the mauve would be it for me, but that white on blue is so pretty. It is. And it's so summer, isn't it? I mean, it's just so spring and summer. Louise says, love all the cards. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. All right. So here's our next one. So this one is 3 In Colors. This is a Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Wild Wheat. Again, our steps are the same. The measurements are the same. It's just our daisies that are changing a little bit. So we'll glue these pieces on. So it's this designer series paper piece right here. And you could leave a little bit of white on the edge of your card or take this way over to the edge, just depending on how much you want people to see. Of course, keep that in mind when you're layering. But I kind of changed my mind where sometimes I have the little line there and sometimes I go right to the edge. I'm going to leave a little line on this one. Okay. And it looks like on this card, I was a little bit short on the one edge. That's weird. Well, you know what? I'll fix it after. I'll trim it down so that it fits. Okay. And then I'm going to put my copper clay piece right next to it. And just fit them right together there. So it almost looks like a ribbon strip, right? But it's our cardstock. And then we'll put this piece down. Oh, so this piece I didn't realize that I cut it, but I'll just have to buy more paper. That's the solution for me. I just have to buy more paper later when it becomes available to buy more, like when the catalog actually launches. When you place a pre-order, you can only order a certain number of items of certain things. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 for the designer series paper, but it's just, 1 or 2. So it's not a lot. Okay, so this time I have the base piece die cut for my large flower. I have our little sideways daisy, and that's the base piece. They do have builders, but we're going to be stamping on these. And then I also have 2 leaves. So we're going to, the 2 die cut leaves, we'll just put that off to the side. And of course, our warm hello. So we could always start there if we want. We are going to put these sprigs down exactly the same way as we did the last one. So I can just go ahead and do that right now. And then I'll just pull up the backing when I go to secure it. Okay, so let's do that. It is warm in my office tonight, and I'm not complaining because I'm so grateful to have warmer weather. But I am not used to this temperature in my office. Okay, so we're going to get our Moody Mauve to stamp our warm hello this time, and I'm telling myself in my head, do not mix the colors in your brand new stamp pad. So let me get my Simply Chamois. Okay, and there we go. Okay, cool. Let me just make sure. Right? You get nervous, like you don't want to mix those new colors. Brand new ink pads, got to keep them pretty. All right, so we could probably actually put this down too if we wanted to. Let me get my Stampin' Dimensionals, and then we'll take our time. Hopefully, I will not mess up my 2-step stamping tonight. We'll find out. All right, so let's put that piece down. And I kind of want my sprig to come a little bit over. I like that layering on those. I just think that it's pretty. Okay, so for our 2-step stamping, here's how I did it. So with the daisy here, let me just bring this closer to the camera for a minute. So I actually stamped off the Moody Mauve 1 time for the base flower. And then for the outline, I stamped regular. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by that. And this is why you want to have your scrap paper down. So we have our base stamp. So for those of you who may be getting 2-step stamps for the first time, there's this one that looks almost solid, right? Like it's a lot of photopolymer here. That's going to be your base. And then the one that has all of the detail on it, the one that has like all these little lines and it looks super fancy, that is your detail. That's the 2nd step. Okay, so this one would be the darker piece. And whether you want to stamp this one first or this one first, it's totally up to you. I've done it both ways, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the detail piece first. And what I want to look for is, at least on this one, I'm going to try to find these little bumps and then the one that points a little bit. So let's see if I can line this up, because it does line up, but you have to find those 3 little bumps. So see these 3 little bumps, 1, 2, 3, and then the pointed one. There it is. Okay. So let's get our Moody Mauve. And I'm just going to ink that up. We're going to do this full color, right? So we're going to get all of our color right on here. And then we're going to line this up. I'm going to take my time and breathe. And try not to shake the table. Oh, we did a great job with that one. Okay, good. So that's our first step. Okay, and like I said, you could do either step first, but I just chose to do the outline first. So that's our regular Moody Mauve. Now with this one, we're going to stamp off 1 time to lighten the color before we take it to our piece. And here we have the 1, 2, 3, and then the pointed one. So I'm going to stamp off once. You can see how juicy that ink pad is. And I can see here that's not like a perfect impression. So I'm going to stamp again. And I'm going to stamp off 1 more time. And that one looks better. Okay, so now I'm going to line it up. 1, 2, 3. See how it kind of locks in? And then I'm going to put that down, and hopefully we did a good job with that. So we'll find out. Yes, we did a good job with that. Okay, and then our center is going to be the wild wheat. So I'm going to clean off both of these because they're both going to be in wild wheat. But before I do that, we'll do both of our centers and we'll do both of our flowers at the same time. So let's do this one too, which is also a 2-step. So I'm going to do the detail one first. So let me just set that off to the side for a minute. Okay. Just going to line that up. And that one was a little bit off, but that's okay. And then let's do our second one. It's so hard to do this without getting my head in the way. I think that's actually a good impression. So see if we can line that up. Okay, so we did pretty good with this one. Not 100%, but it's fine. And nothing that I feel like I need to redo. All right, so I'm going to close this one now. We're going to go for wild wheat, and we're going to clean off our stamps. Those little centers, I should say. We're also going to do wild wheat for our leaf. And I think that this one is clean, but I'm going to just give it a quick clean anyway. Okay, I'm just going to give these a quick clean. Set these off to the side, and then I don't have to worry about it. But when you're going from copper clay to wild wheat, you definitely want to make sure it's clean. Okay, I think that's good. And let's just double check. Okay, and here is wild wheat. Now, when you first stamp wild wheat, it's super dark. But again, it dries down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start with my smaller. We have that one. So we can set that aside. And then we have the big guy. So let's get the big one. Okay, we have our big one. And then let's do our 2 flowers. And the reason that not the flowers, leaves. The reason why I did the leaves in the wild wheat is because that's what they did on the designer series paper. So I really did try to stay close. Now, where I did change was in the center here, they used like a combination of like Moody Mauve and copper clay and then had white petals. I did the opposite. Okay, and then, so we'll do there's one. There's 2. Okay, and then that will dry. So just again, like especially as we're getting used to these colors, right? You're looking at that and you're like, what? But you can see it gets lighter and it does look a little bit more golden to me. And I did hear somebody describe that as more of like a mustard color, and I can see it, but I do see gold too. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our card and let's put these pieces together. So this is our second to last card here. I'm going to pull up my tear and tape now, my backing. All right. And so I'm going to do my big flower, like up on the top here. Just want to make sure you cover that. If you did put down any tear and tape. I'm going to try to keep my dimensionals to the center because I have a second flower that I'm adding. So we're going to add that here. And then we're going to add our other one right down here. I'm going to put this more towards the top of the flower because I'm going to tuck my leaves right underneath. Okay, and then we're going to take our 2 leaves, and then I am going to use my smaller dimensionals for those. And I'm going to put it more towards the tip of the leaf, the outer tip. Not that far out. Hang on. I messed that one up. Hang on. I'll grab a new one. Okay. And I'm just going to pop that one there. And then we'll do another one right off to the side here. Okay, and I wanted this one to kind of come down onto, I put that one kind of center, which I'm glad about, so that my leaf can kind of overlap a little. See how it overlaps, but I don't want it to overlap with the W, so I'll do it like that. That's cute. Okay, and that is an example of stamping those daisies, but oh my gosh, I love Moody Mauve, and I'm so sorry about that edge there. I'll trim that down. But yeah, so that's our 4th card in this series. And then we will finish with, I think this is the last one that we have left, our Pebbled Path. Okay, and this is also a stamped version and really simple. And then this one, I actually did 2 shaded spruce leaves. So I did venture outside of the in colors for this card, but I can't remember if I cut those. So let's see if I put them in the kit. If I didn't, we'll just go without. But if I did, and if you want to do this on a white, you know, if you don't want to do die cut, like you only want to do stamped, I have a tendency to do a lot of die cutting. But if you would rather just do layered stamping and not have die cutting, then just do that on like a white base there. Okay, so let's put our pieces down. And let me just see what everybody is saying. Yes, I love the Moody Mauve. Me too. Me too. Absolutely love that color. I think at first impression, the 2 that are really grabbing my attention are Moody Mauve and Pebbled Path. Those are the 2 that I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to use these lots. I think I'm going to layer a lot with Wild Wheat. I think that that's going to be like a replacement for gold for me on a lot of projects, because I tend to like warm colored projects. And I don't necessarily always have the foil sheets, right? So that's probably going to become a layering piece for me. But I love, love, love the ink colors and Pebbled Path and Moody Mauve. Okay, look at that. Oh, I don't even want to cover that. Okay, so let me put this one down. And then I'll bring all my cards back in here. All right, and then for this one, we stamped in Wild Wheat. And then this is a combination of Wild Wheat and Pebbled Path. So instead of a 2-step stamp, we're just going to do a single outline stamp for this one. And I do have 2 shaded spruce. And I do have the ink pad here. I was wondering why I carried it over, and now I know why. I designed these cards over the weekend, so I didn't just do it an hour ago. Sometimes you forget what you do. Okay, so on this one, I'm not doing the base flower. I'm just doing the detail piece on the white. Okay, and we're going to do that in, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then that pokey one, that pointed one again, right on that side there. That should be it. I think it is. Okay, so let me grab Pebbled Path. Hopefully we got it. Let's see. Yes, we got it. Okay, good. And we're going to do Wild Wheat. Good with that. Just wanted to make sure. Okay. So let's go ahead and do Wild Wheat. All right, so we have that one, and then we can do our warm hello, or warm hello, not sending. And then I'm going to grab my shaded spruce for our leaf stamp. And honestly, you probably don't have to do the stamp if you don't want to, just if you want that little bit of extra detail on your leaves, because you'll you'll be able to tell easily that these are die cut leaves. But we're going to stamp them anyway. Hopefully I'm not stamping too low, you guys. Okay, not an in color, but sticking around, shaded spruce. One of my noisiest ink pads by far. Okay. All right, so we have the two of those, just keeping it simple. You could do more than that if you want to, but we're just going to keep it there. And then let's go ahead and pop these on, and we will be all done with all 5 cards. And then I will lay them back out, and we'll just do a quick review, okay? And I'll go through and see if anybody has any questions. Just drop them in the comments, and that's whether we're live or in the replay. It's totally fine. I definitely do try to make sure that I answer everybody in the replay. This to me is a simpler layout where we don't have as much going on, right, as maybe this one, right? So it's a little bit simpler. So just in terms of what you prefer. Looking for my mini dimensionals here while I'm chatting away. Okay, let's put these on. I'm just going to kind of pop these right up in the corner here. Isn't that beautiful? I just love them. And then we'll do our warm hello with the regular dimensionals. Just pop 2 of these on here. Okay, got that. And let me move this out of the way here. And let's put all of our cards back down again. So just as a reminder, this is the in colors that we used tonight. And this was Pebbled Path and Wild Wheat. This was Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Wild Wheat. Okay, this was Boho Blue and Pebbled Path. This one is Copper Clay and Boho Blue. And this one was Wild Wheat and Copper Clay. Okay, so a lot of that. And then Fresh as a Daisy is the upcoming new product with the upcoming new in colors. All right, so let me just kind of push those up. Hopefully you guys can get a good look at that. Just gonna fan these out so that you can see those clearly. Okay, and now let me get my chair because I've been standing this whole time. I really struggle to sit and craft, I have to say. Let's see. She says, I can't wait. Teresa is saying, I can't wait to get this sweet. If I'm home when UPS comes, I may hug the driver. I wonder how often that has happened, right? Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Okay, I think I got everybody's comments. Let me see if I can. The funny thing is when I cut back to my face after I've been crafting, my face is beet red because I'm under this huge light and I get really hot. Okay, so yeah, can you guys see I'm like totally flat. It's so hot in here. I would love to know how hot in here it is right now. You guys can see I'm like totally sweating. It's so funny. I'm seeing new comments here. Let me just go down. And Margaret is saying they all turned out amazing. Thank you so much, Margaret. I love that. I'm so glad you guys like them. Beautiful cards. I love all of these. Let me see if I can do the 2-shot. Yeah, can you guys see that? Okay, so there you can see me while you are seeing the cards. For those of you who may want to take a screenshot, I would say take a screenshot right before now. But I will post these card projects up on my blog. I will get the replay posted to YouTube. Let me ask those of you who are still here if you're hanging in there with me, because I know this was a little bit longer of a live for us, but I appreciate you hanging out with me. Did you guys think that the table was shaky? Like in terms of seeing the presentation, like how are you feeling about this? Because I really don't like my other table at all. I think this might have to do in terms of temporary if I want to do a 2-camera setup. Otherwise, I can just stick to the single camera down at the table. But the one thing I did drop something, so that's not unusual for me. I drop a lot of things. So this, just let me remind you one more time, I'm going to set this down over the cards. So this again is the preview for the May paper pumpkin kit. Now, for those of you, table did not distract at all. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate your input on that because it matters to me that you guys don't feel distracted when you're watching the presentation. I only noticed it shaking when you said it was. Okay, good. Okay, so I'll stop mentioning it, but it drives me crazy. Okay, so again, this is going to be the May paper pumpkin kit. So whether you're watching live or in the replay, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, I always have all of the links in the description box below. You can also go to my blog if you're interested in getting any of the links. That said, my blogs tend to run one day behind the video. So I do try to get those up as quickly as I can, but I usually do all of this before I do all of the post-production work of like photographing the cards and all of that. So I'll make sure I'll get that updated for you guys, but it may take a day. So all of that said, I will be doing alternate card projects for the April kit once I get it. I usually get my April kit anywhere between like the 20th and the 25th of the month. So it'll probably be more towards the end of April. I will be working on sending out new catalogs in the coming weeks. So in the next week and a half, I'm really going to be working hard on getting those out to you. So again, if you've shopped with me in the last 6 months, you will get a catalog unless you tell me you don't want one. And if it's been longer than 6 months and you want a catalog from me, please reach out to me. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you're interested in getting a catalog, reach out to me and I can get you guys on the list to send it out to you. And again, just make sure that you're on my email list because I am going to be doing several events along with the launch of the catalog. I'm going to be doing a paper share for the annual catalog. I'm going to be doing an in-color club featuring these 5 in colors. We'll be collecting the products over 5 months. It'll be starting in May and it will run through September. And then I'm also going to be doing a new like core, they're calling them core colors, these new colors that are coming into our collections. I'm going to be doing something with that as well. So just make sure you are on my email list if you aren't already. Okay. So that is it for me tonight. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I love to hear from you. And I will see you guys again on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. Bye-bye.